podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. The show originally aired on the Premier Network's 200 stations coast to coast on Saturday, February 22nd, 2020. That's a lot of twos. This is episode 1671. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast comes to you from Twit's LastPass Studios. You're focused on security, but are your employees? LastPass can ensure they are by making access and authentication seamless. Visit lastpass.com/twit to learn more. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Wasabi Hot Cloud Storage. Thinking about moving your data storage to the cloud? Wasabi is enterprise-class cloud storage at 1/5 the price of Amazon S3 and faster than the competition, with no fees for egress or API requests and no complex storage tiers. Your business may be unpredictable, but your data costs shouldn't be. Start a free trial at wasabi.com. Enter the offer code TWIT. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, all the crazy doodads and gizmos that are changing our life and making it weird and different and, that kind of thing. 8888. I don't mean to say it's not good. I'm just, it's a mixed blessing. 8888 Ask Leo. That's my phone number if you've got a question or a comment or suggestion. I'd love to hear from you. 8888-275536. When you hear something on the show and you say, I got to write that down because it's so stupid or because it's so brilliant, your choice. The website, it will all be written for you. We have scribes. Is techguylabs.com. We'll write it all down there. techguylabs.com. So just really all you have to do is remember that and everything else will happen automatically. techguylabs.com. Let's see what happened this week. I'll tell you one thing that happened. I decided not to buy the Galaxy Z flip phone. I had it on order. I did all the right things. Because I'm used to this because I'm an Apple guy, right? So I know the whole thing where you get up at midnight and you go online. You actually get up at 11:58 and you go online at midnight and you refresh, and you buy it, and then and it comes on time. Except that I did that. This time I perhaps was foolish. I went to Best Buy and I filled out the order and it said coming soon. I said, what? Wait, what? You're sold out already? It's just, really? Well, I ended up going to that Best Buy because it's our local Best Buy. And I said, did you guys have any? And they said, yeah, we had 2. I said, oh, okay. So you sold them before I got there. You sold the 2. So I said, all right, fine. Just send it to me when you get it. And here we are 10 days later and still nothing. And now I'm realizing, why did I want it? Well, I didn't want it for me. No, I don't do this for me. I do this for you. I wanted it so I could tell you whether it was a good thing to buy. This is the Samsung phone that folds in half. It looks like a little pocket handkerchief, and then you open it up and it's like a normal phone. And I thought, well, that's interesting. That seems like an interesting idea. Wouldn't you like a phone that's small but turns into a normal size? That's kind of cool. Plus, there's a lot of questions about, bendy screens. So far, not so good. Samsung started it with the Galaxy Fold last year that was such a flop. Not that, it was $2,000, but also it broke in the first day. Okay, just a tip, a hint, if you're going to start a tech company, don't send out a product to reviewers that breaks in the first day because the reviewers, they're going to say it's broke. So that was a bad start. And then there was the one that came out a month ago, the Moto Razr, and everybody's going, ugh. Even Moto said, it's going to be crinkly and have some. It's not. That's not a good start. And then, of course, their timing was terrible because 2 weeks later, Samsung says, and we've got a folding phone. Shortly after the folding phone was announced, somehow, I wasn't able to get at one, but somehow a guy who does a YouTube site, Jerry Rig Everything, Zach got a hold of it, immediately took an X-Acto knife to it. and his fingernails, and one of the things he does a lot of things. One of the things he does is he tries to scratch phones, and he scratched it. I thought, well, that's okay, fine. I'm going to take care of it. I don't expect it to be, as hard as a glass, solid glass slab phone. But by now, everybody's read the reviews. You don't care. If I get it, let's say I get it next week, and then I have to review it. That's 2 weeks. And then you don't care in a month. You're not going to care, are you? No, I don't think so. The world will have moved on. So thank you. You saved me $1,380 plus tax. Best Buy. At least bad, but now tell me if I'm wrong. I thought there was a rule that you can't charge somebody's credit card if the product is back ordered. Like you can only charge it when you're about to ship it, right? Oh, they charge me right away, like in seconds. And 10 days later, nothing. I guess they can get away with that. At least they were refunded. I think they refunded it pretty quickly. I hope they did. I have to check. So that's just my way of saying, I'm sorry, I'm not going to review that phone. You don't want it? Well, you don't need it. We're getting a little sick of this whole thing, of this merry-go-round, this phone merry-go-round, aren't we? Normal people don't buy a new phone every year. And now the companies are putting out new phones every 6 months, right? Samsung puts out phones in the fall and the spring. Apple's going to put out new phones in the spring. Well, there's a little catch. So Apple, the strong rumor is now, will announce the new iPhone March 31st, 1 month from now. The rumor is it will be a new small $400 iPhone, right? Those seem very popular. A lot of people, well, who wants to spend $1,000 for a phone, really? So it's nice to have, and it's up to date. It's got a modern chip in it. It's just small. It's like 4 inches. It'll be the size of a what did they say, a 6? Well, it's all rumors. We don't know. But I'll tell you something that's not a rumor. The COVID-19 virus, the coronavirus, all the Chinese plants that are making this phone have either shut down or turned to making face masks. I kid you not. Foxconn, the company that makes Apple's phones, took one of their plants and said, don't make any more phones. You know what we really need? Face masks. It's kind of amazing. In a way, this is a huge success. The huge success of China, which has become the world's factory floor, right? They make it all. They make everything. Is that you could have a factory that is today making one of the most complicated piece of technology ever, the iPhone. I mean, insanely complicated. And boom. on the flip of a coin, now we're making face masks. Wow. That's amazing. That's kind of amazing. Well, we may need those face masks. I don't know. I don't know what to think. The EU has passed a law that says, I think this is a good law, but Apple hates it, that all phones have to the word is interoperable, which is a terrible word. You can't even say it. Interoperable. All phones have to have compatible chargers. Compatible is a better word, right? Now, Apple doesn't like that because they have their special lightning port. Everybody else in the world says, oh, yeah, well, okay, fine. Type-C, that's a good way to charge a phone. Type-C chargers. Apple says, no. Part of the reason the EU is doing this is that if you have, first of all, it's consumer friendly. If you have to go out and buy different chargers for all kinds of different devices, that's kind of nutty. It's also a waste. All of this stuff ends up in the landfill. Wouldn't it be better if you didn't have to buy new chargers all the time? And I would think Apple would like this because you wouldn't have to put them in the box. It would save you money. But no, Apple makes a lot of money on their Lightning chargers. They're proprietary. And I know this because I just bought something. I have the same product that has a Type-C connector and then one that has a Apple Lightning connector on it. The Apple Lightning connector one is $40 more. So I figure, it's probably close to what Apple's charging these guys per device, $40. So of course Apple doesn't want to get rid of its proprietary charger and go to something that any old person can make. Well, this is actually good because I don't know if you remember this, but the EU is the reason that most phones have common chargers. In the early days of phones, 3 or 4 years ago, you might have a phone, all the different phones would have different chargers. and it would only work with that phone. It might not work with the next phone. And the EU changed the rules, and that's been good. That's been good. Coronavirus is affecting more than factories. There's a couple of conferences coming up. The RSA conference is coming up in San Francisco this week. Big security conference. I know that's what Bruno's here for. RSA, you're a security guy? Yeah, sort of. You're interested? Yeah, IBM, which is a platinum sponsor, said, we're not going to go. We're worried about coronavirus. Ew. And then there's the Game Developers Conference, GDC. Sony and Facebook both have canceled their appearances. GDC's coming up in a couple of weeks. What? I feel like they know something we don't. Like, do you know something we don't? Is this like, is it the zombie apocalypse? Can you tell me now? Because I want to get a shovel and some pitchforks, maybe a flamethrower, just something. I just want to get ready for this. Is this it? Let us know, will you? I'd like to know. 8888 ask. Leo is the phone number. Let's talk, you and me.
It's America.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the unbreakable Kimmy Schaffer. Hello, Kimmy Schaffer.
Good morning.
The unbreakable phone angel, and we thank Kimmy Schmidt, the unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, that fine television program, for illicit use of their theme song. I don't know if it's illicit. We pay license fees.
Yeah,
I don't know.
you do.
I don't know what license fees cover though. So
yeah, do they cover theme songs?
who knows?
I suppose.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, they
My
must.
position is they
do.
certainly do.
Absolutely do.
Oh, what a business we're in. Isn't it? I have to say, we've had to become suddenly very, very careful on YouTube because Google has decided to turn on even more dramatic copy protection stuff. They have something they call Content ID that scans everything we put up there. And they're going back through old shows. We're getting so many, they call them copyright strikes. Sometimes they pull the video down. Sometimes they'll just put their ads on it. And that's actually been generated a lot of fraud because people go, oh, yeah, that's mine. I'm going to put my ad on it. And it's ridiculous. It's insane. It just means, it makes me not want to put anything on YouTube.
These are not humans doing this, right?
No, it's a machine.
Okay, because
you can
there's
appeal.
not enough human power in order to
No.
through all the content that's being uploaded every day.
It's as accurate as any machine, which means not. And
right.
in many cases they just take it down, and then you can appeal, and 9 weeks later it goes back up.
Then who cares? 9
But
weeks
by
later.
then, the stuff we do
is irrelevant.
is fish wrapped by tomorrow. So, yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, I don't know how you got me on that. It's just been on my mind.
All the rules and regulations and
it's been on my
stuff that
mind.
we have to deal with. Yeah.
So, Unbreakable, take us down. Go ahead. I don't care anymore. I just don't care anymore. How has your week been?
All right.
Good. Mine was all right, too.
Yeah.
Mine was exceptionally all right.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll just go with that.
All right. We'll talk off the air.
You know what? We had a really, really cool call last week from Kai.
Yeah?
In Mallorca. And, I just want to have some 13-year-old make me feel inadequate
Wasn't Kai
again today.
amazing?
So I think we should go to Logan in Stevenson Ranch.
Uh-oh.
Because he'll make me feel inadequate.
Johnny.
Yeah.
My phone needs to be rebooted, Johnny.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, Johnny. My phone. Usually John comes in and checks the phone. It hasn't had a problem in so long.
But the second you stop trying.
The second I stop looking at it, he has to come in. Well, what do you think of a phone system that needs to be rebooted?
I don't like that everything's digital. I like the old.
It's cray-cray.
Yeah.
So I got in my car. I used to have a Tesla. And sometimes you have to reboot the car. And the funny thing is, it's like the 3-button salute for Windows. You have to press 3 buttons on the steering wheel. Fortunately, the car still drives. But the screen in the middle, that big old screen that blacks out and reboots. I had to reboot my TV. I have to reboot the Apple TV all the time. Everything gets to be reboot.
Oh, here's my
reboot,
complaint.
reboot.
Comcast. They have to update every single day, so you're in the middle of watching something. And
I don't like that.
The screen comes up that says, it's time for your update.
I don't like that.
Like every day? You have to update every day?
Okay, we've stalled long enough. The phone is rebooted.
Okay, Logan.
Thank you, Kim. It's not that I'm trying to get rid of you or anything. I enjoy talking to you.
I was trying to stall for you.
Yeah,
too.
thank you. Very good. And how about those airline peanuts, huh? Logan, Stevenson Ranch, California. Hi, Logan. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello.
Hello. What's up?
I just have some questions about like parts for a gaming PC and where I should sell my laptop and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're getting rid of your old laptop, and it's time to get a new PC?
Yeah.
And what games do you play?
Games like Rainbow Six Siege, CS:GO, Overwatch.
Yeah, good games.
Yeah.
None of those are super challenging. Overwatch is maybe the most recent of those.
Yeah.
But you certainly would want a machine with a separate graphics processing unit or GPU. And most games nowadays, NVIDIA is the way to go. They work with NVIDIA's drivers. Processor is less important on a game. It has to be an i5 or better, but you don't have to have the fastest processor ever, and you can actually get too fast. The graphics, you can get too much graphics card if the processor can't keep up, and you can get too much processor if the graphics card can't keep up. So it's all kind of a part of a whole, right?
Okay.
What I generally do with this is refer people to my friend Sebastian's site. It's called PC Perspective, PCPER.com. Not many people build computers anymore. I think it's a good thing for you to do because you're young and you want to learn, right? The negative on building your own is if there's a problem, you're the support guy. But that's all right. That's how you learn. But if you go to PCPer.com, they have on their menu something called the Hardware Leaderboard, where they describe, and they update this regularly because they review all the products, 4 different systems: a $3,000 Dream system, a $2,000 high-end or $1,500 high-end system, a $1,000 mid-range system, and a $500 low-end system. And so you can compare the parts they recommend, and it includes everything: processor, motherboard, video card, memory, hard drive, sound card, power supply, everything. So it's, if nothing else, it's a good way to kind of see what a system that would all work together nicely would look like.
Okay. We'll probably check that out after.
Yeah.
But
as for selling your laptop, okay, hold on if you got another question. I just talked right up to the end. So hang on.
My question was,
hold on. Scott Wilkinson's coming up. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm still here, Logan. We have to break for the commercials. Commercials wait for no one. So anyway, that's my advice when you're building. What else you want to know?
Should I ask you a question now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm kind of in between Intel and Ryzen, and I'm not sure which one I should get.
Well, I'm looking at PC Perspective's systems, and they're all AMD systems. Isn't that interesting? They're all Ryzens.
Yeah.
And that's something that's really changed in the last few months. Intel used to be the best at single-core performance. And on a game, that's mostly what you care about. So you know that most of these new processors are multi-core, right?
Yeah.
That means they have on one chip, they have multiple processors. In fact, there's one Ryzen that has 64 processors on it, which is crazy. But there's no advantage to having multiple processors if the programs that you're running don't take advantage of that. Most games don't. They don't really care. This is why you can't just say, "Oh, I want the one that has the most processors." It really depends. If you're doing something like video editing and rendering, if you're doing graphics, Photoshop, that kind of thing, then those programs will use multiple cores because the job can easily be divided up into different workers. But not all programs are like that. In fact, video games tend to use a single core, which and multi-core processors, if you look at the specs, are usually slower single-core performance, right? So they're optimizing for different things. If you want the fastest clock speed, and for a game you might, then a 2 or 4 or no, you don't need more than 4 cores. If you have the kind of thing that doesn't need a lot of clock speed but wants to divide its task up among multiple processes, then you need a multi-core processor. So the thing that's changed, though, is that AMD, which used to have more cores but lower CPUs, are now actually getting single-core performance is very good. So in the high-end game system, the $1,500 game system, PC Perspective recommends the Ryzen 7 3700.
Oh, okay. Well, I was looking at the Ryzen 5 3600 and the Ryzen 5 2600, and they both have 6 cores.
Yep. So the Ryzen 5, probably 3600, is a good, relatively inexpensive. That's a $200 processor. So that's a pretty good, that's a kind of sweet spot processor. I think that's a very good choice. And then you could put the extra money into an NVIDIA video card. And the one, they have different ones they recommend. The one they recommend in the mid-range system is the RTX 2060 from EVGA. But I would look at all of these. But see, you don't want to get too much video card if you're not getting a lot of processor, right? Because you can overbuy, right? Vice versa, too. So that's why it's kind of a balancing act. And you're smart. You choose the processor first because that decides the motherboard. The motherboard may decide other things about. And you'd think, oh, I have an AMD processor. I would probably want an AMD GPU. Apparently not, according to... Well, actually, they put a Radeon in their low-end system. But but everything else is NVIDIA after that, which is kind of interesting. Okay. Yeah. So, anyway, and as for selling your laptop, you know, the easiest thing to do is to go to some company that buys laptops, but you won't get the highest price. The best price is on eBay, but selling on eBay is tricky because it's a matter of trust, and you've never sold anything on eBay before. You won't have a good trust rating. If you know somebody who sells on eBay, a parent or somebody who already has an account, that might be a good way to do it. Okay?
Yeah.
I gotta run.
Okay.
Good luck. Nice, Logan. Nice to talk to you. Hello, Scott Wilkinson.
Hey, Leo. How you doing, man?
I am very well. How are you?
I'm great. I just got back from 3 days in Palm Springs.
Oh, I hear Palm Springs is lovely this time of year.
This time of year, man, it was just gorgeous.
It's not too hot.
Nope.
I've never been to Palm Springs.
You're kidding.
No, I know. Can you believe that?
Oh, you got to go. It's so good. It's really good.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know you like to go there. Yeah.
I didn't spend much time outdoors this trip, however.
What?
Would
you stay in the hotel and watch TV all night? All day? That would be...
No, not quite.
Shocking.
I was attending the HPA Tech Retreat. HPA is the Hollywood Professional Association. It's the association of directors of photography, editors, colorists, all the technical people behind the scenes of making movies and TV shows.
That sounds really fun. Were there a lot of famous people there?
Not a lot of famous people, no.
That's all I care about. You know me. I'm very shallow.
No. But this was the 25th anniversary of the HPA Tech Retreat. And it's run by a guy named Mark Shubin, who was on my podcast once or twice. Very, very smart guy. The whole 500 people there, all very smart, very creative. It was really an exciting environment to be in.
How cool is that?
It was really, really cool.
Yeah.
And the thing I wanted to bring up today, there's actually a lot to talk about from the convention or from the tech retreat. But what I want to talk about today is this very interesting project that they did for the first time, which was basically make an entire movie in a day.
Oh, that's kind of a gimmick, though, right?
Well, no. It was a demonstration. It wasn't a full movie. It was 12 minutes long, so it's a short, right?
Do they have to, is it like 24 hours? Like, are they staying up all night to do it?
No. They had shot quite a bit of the footage ahead of time, but what they did was they shot some footage there during the convention. While we were there, they shot some scenes in a simulated railroad car, and they had TVs for the windows showing the scenery going by.
Oh, that's cool.
It was really cool, and they were using full professional stuff. I mean, they had Red cameras and Arri Alexa cameras, fully professional gear that they were using. And the important thing about this demonstration was that they were demonstrating that for the first time, really, you can collaborate on making a movie in the cloud. Now, you've talked about being in the cloud so many times, right? This is now becoming a standard in Hollywood, where even while they were shooting the footage, they were shooting this footage on the stage of the big ballroom where we were all sitting, and that footage was getting transmitted up to the cloud almost as they shot.
See, that's fascinating, because always the problem I've had, and we've talked about editing in the cloud and things, is the time it takes to get it up to the cloud.
Yes. Well, this was happening
they had a
almost
lot of
in
bandwidth.
real time.
Yeah.
They had a lot of bandwidth.
They had a lot of bandwidth.
And admittedly, what was going up to the cloud were what are called proxies. So they were 1080p only, not 4K. They were shooting in 4K.
Nowadays, with this giant data that we're, with 8K and 4K, a lot of times editing happens on these little lower quality proxies, and they create what they call an edit decision list, or EDL, which then gets applied to the big fat files overnight.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah.
But they were doing it in basically real time. And then after the shots were made, the director who was there and the DP who was there were video conferencing with video editors in Los Angeles and sound editors in San Francisco, and at Skywalker Ranch, in fact, in real time, saying, the director was saying, well, I'd like the blue sky in the background to be a little less saturated. Okay, and he took that down. And I'd like the flesh tones to be this and that. And they were editing in real time, colorizing in real time.
And in fact, this is not a gimmicky thing. This is something.
No.
Well, for instance, recording industry has been using this for some time, to have a producer in one city and a performer in another city, maybe even performers spread out all over the country. Yes. And so you can see nowadays we'd like to collaborate without all being in the same room.
Correct.
That's interesting.
It was really fascinating. The very last shot of the film was shot in the room where we all were. Basically, this movie, it's called The Lost Lederhosen.
I have some lost lederhosen I could have lent to the project.
I don't know where mine are either. But this was a couple of people in, presumably the story is, two people in Germany, a man and a woman, are invited to come to the HPA tech retreat.
Oh, funny.
And so they fly to Hollywood, and they can't find where they're going, and they have all these misadventures, and they end up in the room where we are all sitting. And before they shot that shot, they brought out glasses of beer for all 500 of us.
Nice. Good way to get the tech press happy. Yes.
You get the tech press happy. Yeah. Well, I was one of the only press people
Oh,
there.
interesting.
It's really mostly tech people. And so the main actor comes in and he says, hey, I finally made it. Here, let's sing a German drinking song. And we sang this German drinking song, and we drank the beer. And they shot it on 3 different cameras and then edited that into the movie.
Oh,
and we
in
saw
real
the
time.
movie at the end of the day.
That's pretty impressive. That's pretty cool.
It was amazing.
So this is a little gimmicky, but what they're trying to show you is that there are technologies now to do this kind of thing.
Precisely.
And there is some demand for it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A big demand. Because if you can do this without having to fly people to here and there in one place or another, and doing the colorization in one location and the audio in another location and the editing in another location, then you're saving a lot of money.
Plus, editors really don't.
Up.
Editors don't like anybody around.
Right.
They just want to stay in their little dark room and not bother. No, I in a way, this is the modern story, isn't it? That we're a diaspora. We're getting spread out everywhere, and people are working out of their homes. And with increased bandwidth and improved tools to do this, it's feasible.
Yep.
I don't know.
And they demonstrated it. That was the point, really. It was a silly movie.
It can be done.
It can be done.
Should
and
it be done is another question, maybe for sociologists. But from a technical point of view, and obviously the business demands that you save money and do it that way. And you're going to do it that way.
They had a bunch of different cameras that they had to deal with the different characteristics of the different cameras. They had a bunch of different monitors that they were looking at, that those all had to be calibrated. And Tyler Pruitt from Cowman from Portrait Display, that makes the calibration software, had calibrated all these monitors.
Wow. That's really cool.
It was very, very cool.
Yeah.
So
a fun demo.
I had a super fun demo. It took all day, and in between,
but you got beer.
We did get beer, yeah, and we got presentations about various aspects of the whole process. So
that's a good way to keep people from going home early. Am I in the movie? Did I make the cut?
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually in the movie. You can see me in
now,
is that going to
be put up anywhere? I mean,
I don't know. I tried to ask that question, and it wasn't clear whether it was going to actually get put up on YouTube or someplace where people could see it. I hope so. I'm going to look into that and make sure. And if it is anywhere, I will let you know next week.
Very cool. Scott, you have an interesting life, I must say. Scott Wilkinson, he's our home theater geek, a contributor at techhive.com. We talk about home theater each and every week on the show, including the latest in even behind-the-scenes technologies for filmmaking.
Yep.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm starting to wonder if we haven't spread ourselves out too much. You're in a different room. I'm in a different room.
We're doing it right now.
Yeah, we do it right now. And that works.
Yep.
It's kind of lonely. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's kind of lonely. All right, Scotty, it's all yours.
Thank you so very much. Hey, Mike Heiss, I'm so glad to see you here. I did not win any of Mark's quizzes. I didn't even really participate. One of the things at the HPA Tech Retreat that this was my very first one, by the way, that I've ever been to. It's been going on for 25 years. It's easily the most efficiently run conference of its type that I've ever been to, and I've been to a lot. But Mark Shubin, who is the head guy there, basically the presentations are so many minutes long, and the exact second that time is up, Mark says, oh, that's the last word on that. Next guy up. And he does not let anything run over. It's just so efficiently run. It's very impressive. Very impressive. Anyway, one of the things that happens during the tech retreat is that Mark puts up these quiz questions. And it's so funny because here we are at this tech retreat, right? Super technology. And he basically tapes up big pieces of cardboard with the quiz questions written by hand, and he just tapes them up by the doors. And it's like, really? We're at the highest tech conference I've ever been to, and one of the elements is handwritten notes on the door, handwritten questions. So I did not really participate in any of them. I didn't, a lot of them had to do with the history of the tech retreat. Like one of them, as I recall, was somebody at one of the tech retreats had to get rushed to the hospital some years ago. But he checked himself out very early the next day. Why? And the answer was so that he could attend the breakfast roundtables at 7:30 in the morning. The interesting thing about the tech retreat is most of the day, everybody is in one giant room filled with tables, and 500 people in a giant ballroom, and each of the presentations takes place and everybody sees them. But from 7:30 to 8:30 in the morning, there are 10 or 12 separate presentations, hour-long presentations simultaneously. And you can choose to go to this one or that one or whichever one you're most interested in. So this one quiz question was, the person had to be back for the 7:30 in the morning tech retreat, even though he was in the hospital. Anyway, I thought that was just absolutely fascinating. And next week's show, I'm going to talk about something else that happened at the tech retreat. Hopefully, I'll have it written up and I'll post it on Tech Hive by then. But to give you a little preview It is Warner Brothers conducted a test of the ability to perceive the difference between 4K and 8K. And it was a very interesting test. They conducted it extremely well, very carefully controlled. They measured all the participants' visual acuity using the eye chart, the regular eye chart that you see at the eye doctors. And so they documented everybody's vision, everybody's visual acuity from 2020, which is considered quote unquote normal, to better than 2020 to worse than 2020. Most of the people participating had 2020 or better. Of course, you would want that. And a lot of them were, Hollywood golden eyes, so they really knew what they were doing. Anyway, I'm going to talk about that next week. It was a really interesting experiment that they did at Warner Brothers.
Can you stick around to the top of the hour?
Of course. I would be most happy.
Wonderful. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You don't have to put a message in a bottle. Just call me. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Roger in Torrance, California. Hello, Roger.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
Good. Well, about 2.5 years ago, you gave me some great advice. I bought an iPad Pro, and I don't know how I live without it.
Oh, man. Aren't they great? Yeah.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so today, about an hour ago, I got an email from a company that I never heard of before.
Okay.
And it's a bill for $50.
Oh.
So I clicked on the invoice, and it's interesting because the company, it just says the company's name and then United States, no address. And then on the bill too, it has a person with a different first name than me, but the same last name. And it has a street address, but no city or state. And then it has his email address, which is one digit off mine.
Okay. So they sent it to the wrong address, probably.
Correct, but I just wondered why it came to mind if it's...
Well, a typo. Did you look at the address of the email that it came to, not the email on the bill?
The address that it came... What do you mean? That
it came to you...
Oh, but it's like I said, it has his first name, but it doesn't have his city or state.
That doesn't matter. The email, you came to you in your mail or your email? It came to you in email, right?
Email, yeah.
Yeah. So look on the email, not the invoice. You actually know what happened because the invoice, his email address is surprisingly close to mine. And then look at your email that you got from them, and that's misaddressed. That's all right. They didn't address it to his email address. They sent it to yours by accident. Somebody typed it wrong.
Somebody typed it from the original company?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, this is the first time this has ever happened to me. So
oh my God! Welcome to the world. You're gonna get. I get email. I get the wrong email all the time, and some of it's scam email. In fact, that was my initial concern. Was because I get email. I think that this is a kind of a primitive scam, but it actually works. There are companies out there who will just pay invoices. And so there are many people who just send out invoices. I get invoices all the time from Chinese companies for widgets. I know it's not me. I mean, it's me, but I know it's not me. And I think they're just thinking, well, maybe he'll pay it.
And the website that it sent me to is accountingwaveapps.com.
Yeah. So I'm telling you, it's just a human error.
Okay, got it.
Because your address is so close to the other address, somebody typed it wrong. You can verify this by looking not at the invoice, but at the email. The email will have, when you're in your email program, you can actually, you'll see the to address. Sometimes you have to click on it to see the actual address instead of just your name.
Okay, I'll do that.
But you can see what that address is, and I guarantee you it's your address, one digit off or one letter off. And
well, whoever typed it in.
Yeah, that's all. Okay. However, get ready because I'm amazed this hasn't happened to you. I get. Well, I've mentioned this before. My surname, Laporte, is a French surname. And I unfortunately have Laporte at gmail.com. I had to stop using it because I was getting so much French invoices, reservations, spam, everything, because these companies would either just put it Laporte at Gmail, or they're trying to reach Jean Laporte or Francois Laporte, and they inadvertently put a space in, for instance. So they type the email address Francois space Laporte at gmail.com. Guess who gets it? Me. So I actually literally had to stop using that account. If you send email, go ahead, be my guest to that account. You'll see a responder that says, I don't use this anymore. And if you're trying to reach Francois or Jean Laporte, you admit it's a typo. It's not me, because I was getting so much French email. That's one thing. Then there is a scam. There is literally a scam. Sometimes the scam is just, well, maybe they'll pay it. There was a story, I can't remember the details, but there was a story about a company who had for years paid invoices they didn't know. Some of these companies are pretty big. They don't have good checks and balances in their accounting. It could happen. Not ours. Don't send me any bills. We have very good checks and balances, but it can happen. They don't match a PO to an order number or whatever, and we'll just pay it. The accounting pays it. Happened for years at a company. They finally caught up to the guys who were sending the invoices. Then there's an even more nefarious thing. And email is a really risky thing. Most of the malware that gets on our system and almost virtually all the ransomware that gets on company systems comes in through email. And so, for instance, you might get an invoice. It might even be a plausible invoice if the scammer is sophisticated, that has an attached PDF. Well, thank you for your order. We expect remittance of $10,482 within 72 hours, or your account will be canceled. Invoice attached. And you go, oh, man, and you double-click the PDF. Would you? Actually, I should have made this a quiz. What would you do? Would you open the PDF? No. Because it isn't a PDF. It's labeled PDF, but what it really is malware. And you just put ransomware on your company's system. Oops. This is, first of all, for literally as long as I've been doing this show, which is now 15 years, this has been a problem. And I've been saying for 15 years, don't open email attachments. Don't send them, don't open them. And people, of course, still do, nonstop. That's very risky. Links in email, also risky. Might pull you to a site that has malware on it and is attacked immediately as soon as you go to the website. Or a lot of email, I don't use HTML email. You probably do. If you see nice pictures and fonts and graphics in your email, you're using HTML email. HTML is the language of the web, of a website. If you see a website or something that looks kind of like a website in your email, you're in trouble because it's loading in not just text and pictures, but JavaScript and other things that may well be attacking your system. If your system's patched, it's up to date, you're probably okay. But many, many websites have been taken over. They may be legit websites, been taken over, and they've got exploit kits running in the background that try 100 different ways to get into your computer as soon as you visit the website. So that email may be that. Just by rendering the email, you may be exposing yourself. If you open an attachment, boy, you're really taking a chance. So this is why email is not to be trusted. Be very, very careful. And, the rule, I sometimes see the security experts say, never open email, from somebody you don't know. Wait a minute. It never comes from somebody you don't know. It always comes from somebody you know, from your boss especially. Scammers and hackers are not dumb. They know you're not going to care about email from somebody you don't know. They do know you might care a lot about an email from your boss that says, I've been waiting for 3 hours for the report you promised me. Where is it? I've attached, once again, this is your last chance. I've attached a PDF with the details I need, or I've a spreadsheet or a Word document with the details I need. Open this and send it to me, or you're fired. That's not somebody you don't know. That's the most scary thing of all. And that's exactly how these guys work. Their whole goal is to get your lizard mind to go, whoa, I better, and not think. Not think. And so this is why email is so dangerous. So I'm glad it was just misaddressed email. But it could have been so much worse. Always be very skeptical of email. Be very skeptical of attachments. Don't open them. If you get an attachment from the boss, call the boss and say, did you send me something? And if you're a good boss, thank your employee when they do that. Don't get mad at them. Thank them. Because they're protecting your company from ransomware, from a spear phishing attack. So thanks. Oh, good. We train our employees not to do that. If you get an email from me or anybody the business office saying, do something, don't. Call me first. All right, Scott. Now is your time.
Now is my time, as long as you can.
Now is our time.
Thank you so much.
It's our time.
I don't want to compete with your lovely voice.
No. All yours, my friend.
So yeah, as I was saying, next week I'm going to be talking about this 4K versus 8K test that Warner Brothers did and reported on at the tech conference. Zufai says, speaking of visual acuity, mine is nowhere near 2020. I can read past the big WA-E though, so that's all right. Yes, and I'm sure your vision is corrected if it's worse than 2020. I'm sure a lot of the people who participated in this test had glasses or contacts, and their vision was corrected, which is fine. Mine's corrected. I couldn't see squat without my glasses, so I'm going to say that's how it needs to be. I like my glasses. I don't wear contacts though, because I did in high school a little bit, and in those days, way back then, they were hard and uncomfortable. Now they're soft and flexible, and that shouldn't be a problem. But it just kind of creeps me out to be putting stuff in my eyes, so I don't do it. I wear glasses instead, and I'm perfectly happy with that. So let's see. What have we been talking about? Good Guy 500 HD was asking for TV recommendations. Those of you in the chat room might have seen that conversation happening. Wants to get a 75-inch for not as much as an OLED. And so, what did I recommend in the way of LED LCDs? And I gave him a few recommendations. I kept it under $2,000. Well, $2,000 or below. Certainly Vizio, the P series or the PX series, the 75 inches are both under $2,000. I'd go for the PX if you can. If your budget is up to $2,000, then yeah, I'd go for that one because it has more zones and is brighter. TCL 75R617, the 6 series, is under $2,000. I forget exactly what it was. Although I would wait. On that particular case, I'd wait till the 2020 comes out. The 617 is the 2019 version. And the 2020 is going to have a mini LED backlight. And that means that the LEDs behind the screen are much smaller, and there are many more of them in the tens of thousands. And so the zones are much smaller, and you're going to get a lot less haloing around bright objects on dark backgrounds. So particularly credits. If you don't watch the credits, that doesn't matter. But if you're watching a space movie and you see a bright planet or bright stars, more to the point, on a black background, they could easily have halos around them because the zones of illumination behind the LCD panel are much larger than the pixels. And when there's a bright star there, that whole zone says, oh, I've got to brighten up. So they brighten up, and you see a halo around the star. And you don't want that. That's not very nice. The Samsung, Dr. Mom Grandma just got a Samsung 75Q70, and that one is, I believe, right around $2,000 or maybe a little less. So on Samsung's website at today, anyway, I think the list price is higher than that, as it is in many cases here. And the Sony 75X900F, I think is, as I recall, was under $2,000. So those are all good choices for LCD. And then Good Guy asked me, is OLED really better? If I could get one for $2,500, is that worth the extra money? And my answer is yes, absolutely. LCD is brighter, no question about it, but the off-axis performance is not nearly as good. You go off from the center and it looks pretty crappy. So that's a distinction. Plus, there's this haloing going on. Now, all the LCD TVs I recommended are FALD, full array local dimming. I've talked about this on the show many times, where the LEDs behind the screen are actually behind the screen in an array, as opposed to edge lit, where they're along the edge of the screen. I'd never recommend edge lit TVs because the uniformity is not very good. So if you're shopping for an LCD TV, make sure that it is FALD, F-A-L-D, full array local dimming. And all the TVs I recommended are. Vizio, that's all they make, except in the extreme low end where they're still full array. They have an array of LEDs behind the screen, but they don't have local dimming. But that's only at the very bottom end of Vizio and some other brands as well. TCL, the 6 series and the 8 series are both FALD. I think the ones below that are not. Samsung only down to the Q70, the Q70, Q80, Q90 are FALD. The ones below that are edge lit. Sony doesn't really make that many TVs anymore. I don't know. I think the 800 is probably edge lit. The 850 might be as well, but the 900 and up are full array local dimming. So make sure you look for that. But then the question is, well, is it better? Is that okay compared to OLED? And my answer is no, I prefer OLED by far because the off-axis viewing is better. Black levels are better and more uniform. They're not as bright, but I don't find that to be a problem. I have an OLED in my room. Now, granted, I have a completely darkenable room, if that's even a word. And, so if you have a super bright room and you watch during the day, you might want an LCD because it's brighter. But I find OLED to be perfectly fine, even with the lights on in that room. Absolutely no problem at all. And yes, it's more expensive, but it doesn't have the local dimming issue of haloing around bright objects because each pixel is its own local dimming zone. I mean, the pixels are self-emissive. So that's why they don't have a haloing issue. So, yes, they're more expensive, but the 79C9, I actually didn't look that up. Had I looked that up, let me look that up real quick if I can find it. LG 75C9, what is that going for these days? LG, let's see. No, we don't want Abe's of Maine. We want LG. They also have 8K TVs. And by the way, next month I'm going to a reviewer's workshop by LG, so that's going to be quite fun, and I'll report on that when I get there. OLED TVs, C9. Let's see. That's the least expensive of their mod. They have a 70. Oh, the 55 for $1,400 for $1,500. The 77, $5,000. So yeah, it's expensive for a 75 or a 77 in this case. That's a lot more than two. So take that as you will. I mean, if you can find one for $2,500, great. Now they do make a lower model called the B9, and I wouldn't recommend it if you can avoid it. It's not bad. It's just not as good. So there
Thank
you go.
you, Scotty. Have a wonderful week.
Thanks. You too.
I will
see you next week.
Thanks.
You bet.
Take care.
Bye.
Coffee time. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, augmented reality. What do I have to... You know what I'm saying. Can you see what do these things have in common? They all got chips in them. They're all the modern digital technology. I have to say, though, it's less of a niche thing than it used to be, right? It used to be, you're a geek, you're a nerd, you're into this stuff, you're a nerd, you're a geek. But now everybody uses it. Everybody's got a smartphone. Not everybody, but most everybody's got a smartphone. That's a pretty powerful computer in your pocket. You might have a computer at home. You probably have one at work. We're all sitting in front of screens all day, all night. And those are the obvious computers in your life. If you drive a car, you've got computers galore in your car. Everywhere we go now, we're surrounded. Smart home stuff, Amazon's Echo, Google's Assistant. Those are all, little computers. We call it now computing at the edge. I think is that a Microsoft phrase or is it just a general? Microsoft uses a lot because Microsoft's business has changed. For years, really, Microsoft got into the computer business in the 80s with DOS, right? And then they made the first well, it wasn't the first, far from the first, but they made a graphical operating system called Windows. I say far from the first. They were copying the Macintosh, which was copying Xerox PARC. So you can't really give them credit. But they've gone far beyond operating systems, software, and even hardware. Microsoft really is all about the cloud, about the operating a network center that everybody can use, store their data on, but also use for computing. And that's why they call computing at the edge. A computer is a computer at the edge because the cloud is the center. At least from Microsoft's point of view, the cloud's in the middle. The computers and the smart stuff, that's the stuff at the edge. I was thinking about this because the guy who worked at Xerox's Palo Alto Research Center, Larry Tesler, was the guy who, among others, showed Steve Jobs when he and a ragtag band came over from a little computer startup called Apple. And Tesla was so proud of, they were all so proud of what they were doing. This is back in 1979. They gave him a little demo of a user interface that was graphical with windows and menus and a thing that Doug Engelbart had invented they called the mouse. It was pretty cool. Steve told Larry Tesler, you're sitting on a gold mine. Why aren't you doing something with this technology? You could change the world. Xerox, it was just research for them. In fact, there was a book written about how Xerox invented the world and didn't make any money on it at all. Larry Tesler is famous for inventing cut and copy and paste. You ever use, Control X, Control C, Control V, cut, copy, paste? He thought that up. Nowadays, you think, well, that's obvious, but it wasn't. It wasn't. He thought up find and replace. It wasn't obvious. He was the guy who coined the term the browser. And in his case, it wasn't browsing the internet. It was browsing the file system, the hard drive. He coined the term friendly user interface. We wouldn't have a Macintosh or Windows without Larry Tesler. He passed away this week at the age of 74. A real legend in the industry. And I think today probably people aren't, too aware of him. I certainly am, but I've been here a long time. I remember his contribution, and I think it's important to mark it. He may not be as well known as Steve Jobs, but there wouldn't have been a Steve Jobs probably if there weren't a Larry Tesler. So, R.I.P., rest in peace. Larry Tesler passed away at the age of 74. He said in an interview at the Computer History Museum a few years ago, if I ever hear somebody say something's impossible or extremely difficult, almost impossible, it's a challenge, and I always try to do it. He also, and I don't know if he won this one or not, this is a little more complicated to explain, he hated modes. A mode is when a computer is doing one thing and nothing else. So you probably had the experience when a computer pops up a message on a screen. You can't do anything else but answer that question, okay or cancel. That's a mode, or a modal dialogue, as Larry Tesler would call it. And in the early days of computing, before the Mac, before Windows, modes were really common. There's a very popular text editor that's still in use called VI or Vi. And VI, you're either editing or you're typing. You can't do both. But Larry Tesler said there shouldn't be any modes. If you're in a word processor, you should be able to edit it and type at the same time. In fact, his license plate said no modes. And he pretty much won for a long time. I mean, Windows and Mac, you can have different things going on at once. But I have to say, I don't know if he was right. And it's kind of started to change. Do you use your computer full screen and switch between screens? That's modes. On an iPad, you don't have a choice. I mean, they've added multitasking, but really an iPad, you're using one thing and then another. That's modes. That's modal. You're within your word processor, you can cut and paste and edit and type. But you're only in the word processor. You have to swipe sideways or open a different app to be doing something else. That's modes. So I think maybe the human brain is better suited to modes, to be honest with you, than modeless. But Larry was a deep thinker, and he really was trying to make this easier to use, user-friendly. Certainly we couldn't live without cut and copy and paste, right? I don't know if it was Larry who came up with the idea that it should be Control-XCV. You know why it is, though. That's right by the Control key. Cut, copy, paste. It's right there. XCV for easy typing. Our show today brought to you by Wasabi. It's hot. And I'm not talking about the little green hot stuff they put next to your sushi. I'm talking about Wasabi hot cloud storage. It's the best cloud storage. Yeah, people say when I say that, oh, yeah, I use Wasabi. They go, you mean Amazon? No. You mean Google? No. You mean Microsoft? No. Wasabi. I know when the boss says to you, oh, we got to take a look at cloud providers. It's time to move data to the cloud or, put our apps in the cloud or whatever. I know that's obvious, the big three. You're going to say Amazon, AWS. You're going to say Google Cloud. You're going to say Microsoft Azure. But I just want you to add one more name to the list. Wasabi Hot Cloud Storage. And if you're a managed service provider, you really got to check out Wasabi. Your clients come to you, trust your judgment. If you've tried Wasabi and you use it, you'll make more money because they give you a better price. You can charge them less because Wasabi's 80% cheaper than Amazon S3, significantly cheaper, and I have to say, significantly more secure than on-premises storage. For less than the annual cost of maintenance fees alone on your on-prem storage, you can get Wasabi. Less than the maintenance fees alone. And Wasabi's better. It's safer. You can mark data or all of it as immutable. Can't be changed. Not by ransomware. Not by fumble-fingered employees. Can't be changed. It's 11 nines of durability. 11 nines. That's as good as it gets. They're hosted in premier Tier 4 data center facilities all over the country. They're fully redundant. They also do regular integrity checking on every file. So you're just not going to lose any data. It's secure by default, always encrypted at rest, even if the requesting party doesn't specify encryption, that's automatic. And they have great access control mechanisms. They have bucket policies, access control lists, immutable data, integrity checking, HIPAA, FINRA compliant, and less expensive and faster than the other guys. Plus, S3 compatible API and no charge for data egress. That saves you a lot right there. And no charge for API access. 6 times the speed of S3, 80% cheaper. If I convinced you to at least try it, go to wasabi.com, click the free trial link, and enter the code TWIT. wasabi.com. Get your free trial. Unlimited storage for a month at wasabi.com. We love Wasabi. Join the movement and migrate your data to the cloud with confidence. Awesome. Unlimited storage for a month, wasabi.com. Use the offer code TWIT. Thank you, Wasabi. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Line 3, Ed in Ontario. Hi, Ed.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for hanging on. What can I do for you?
Hey, I got a question. I would like to get some speakers that I can use on my TV, but also to stream music. And I know you're not a big fan of the SONUS system anymore, so I was wondering if...
I'm not a big fan. But it's pricey, and I think you can duplicate the functionality for a lower price. You want it on your TV, but do you also want to use it for music as a stereo? And then the main reason people buy Sonos is because you can do it wirelessly throughout the house.
And that's kind of like what I'm looking at. Maybe not throughout the whole house, but the living room. So I want something that sounds nice, streaming music, but also works for the TV.
Yeah. So there are 2 ways to go. So with Sonos, and I do have Sonos on a couple of TVs, they make a sound bar. Sound bars are the simplest thing because those are next to the TV, usually right above or right below the screen. They're wide as, or maybe even sometimes wider than the screen. And they usually connect via an optical cable to the TV. They're very easy to set up, and the sound is pretty good. There's a definite correlation between the size of the speaker and the quality of the sound. a small speaker can't reproduce lower frequency sounds, bass. So generally, what happens, people buy a soundbar, not a bad way to start. It's going to give you kind of pseudo surround sound. There'll be a central channel left, right. There might even, as I said, be surrounds. But then, and this is true with Sonos, you can add to it. Sonos also sells a subwoofer. And that's a bigger speaker that plays the low-end stuff. So it supplements the sound bar where the sound bar is not very good. And the nice thing about low-end stuff, you can put that anywhere. But and again, Sonos is, except for that first thing, the sound bar, wireless. They also sell smaller surround speakers, the Sonos ones, that you can put. And again, wireless is great. And they all sync up. They sound good. It's a little pricey. But then you can use it to listen to music because you can also connect it to a stereo. You can use it to listen to internet music without connecting it to anything but your Wi-Fi. And nowadays, that's kind of how people listen to music, right? They use Spotify or Apple Music or something, YouTube Music, and that's where their music comes from. So that's where Sonos is great because it is, it's a wireless radio, wireless music streaming service. So. And it'll hook up to all your different services. So I'm mad at Sonos because of the way they handled the transition. I wish they weren't quite so expensive, but honestly, it is easy, and that's an advantage. The other way to go is more traditional, where you get an AV receiver, like remember the old component stereo systems, and that can be hooked up to wired or wireless speakers. That'll be more flexible. And may or may not cost you more depending on what you get. You can get a pretty good AR receiver, like from Onkyo or Denon, in the $400 range thereabouts. And then choose the speakers you want. You can get fancy speakers. You can get less fancy speakers. But then that requires a lot of shopping and thinking and setting up and so forth. Most modern I said AR. I meant AV receivers. Most modern AV receivers will also stream music from Spotify and other services. So it kind of, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. What is your most? Is it convenience or price that's more important?
That's a good question. If you ask my wife, it would be price. But for me, I would say it's just the sound quality. So I want. Yeah. Okay. If sound quality is most important to you, I have to say the sound quality of Sonos is good, but you can get better, obviously, and sometimes at great expense. You can get better speakers. With Sonos, those are the speakers you get are the Sonos speakers. But if you get an AV receiver, you can, get one of the ELACs. ELAC is, I think, Scott Wilkinson would agree with me. That's one of his favorite home theater speakers. And they have a variety, they have a variety of different speakers, ELAC.com. And they're not powered. They need a receiver. You don't have to use the ELAC receiver, but they also sell receivers. And that'll power them. You'll have to run speaker wire. Though you're going to get a better sound out of those. They're better quality speakers. But it'll be more cost and it's more complex. So those are the two ways to go. Look at ELAC sells the AV receivers as well, so you could even look at those. Price those out. Remember, when you're going to do TV sound, generally, minimally, you don't want to do left-right. You want center channel for voice. That's going to be a smaller speaker above or below the TV screen, right where the person is, like in the middle. Left and right, you're probably going to want a subwoofer. So that's what we call a 2.1 system or a 3.1 system. You might want a 5.1 system when you have two more surrounds. And those can be smaller speakers, bookshelf speakers in the left and the right. So if you're going to build that, so you're going to include the cost of the AV receiver, the center channel, the left, right, the sub, and you can get the surrounds later if you want. I like having surrounds, but you don't have to get those. And then if you're Scott Wilkinson, you'll also want to get Atmos surrounds that fire up, as well as by your ears. It can get more complicated. The nice thing, and somebody in the chat room saying this, and this was my complaint with Sonos, the nice thing about buying this system is they could last 100 years. You might get a new receiver as technology's changed, but those speakers are going to be good forever. The Sonos, it's a computer. Really, it's software plus a speaker,
And Sonos isn't really good at separating the two. So they're going to age out. In 10 years, there'll be something new, some different technology. So, and I haven't helped you because it's going to cost more to put together, let's say, an ELAC system. There's kind of a middle ground where you could go get a sound bar from Onkyo or, there are a lot of companies that make good sound bars. You get a little all-in-one. We used to call them home theater in a box. I don't know if they still make those because they used to include a DVD player. Now we don't need those anymore. But the idea would be you get a little AV receiver and all the speakers you need. And you can do that. There are companies that sell those. Polk Audio is another one. And we're talking range now of maybe around $500, which is a lot less than a Sonos. Quality won't be, I think, as good as a Sonos. I think you're going to need to go a little bit better speakers if you want to sound as good as Sonos. I've made it worse. I haven't made it better, have I? I've actually made this situation worse. I'm sorry.
A lot to think about. I appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure. If it were me, well, I do both. At home, I have both. So I like a good sound system with an AV receiver and 5, speakers, left, right, center, surrounds, and a good sub. I like that. That's my favorite way to do it. And that's $1,500 maybe. Actually, that's not much less. I think the Sonos, if you got a sound bar, their sound bar is expensive. I think it's $500 or $600, and then the sub is another $400. You know what? The Sonos is going to be as expensive as a decent ELAC, say, a stereo system. So maybe if you're willing to put a little extra time into running speaker wire and configuring and setting up, maybe that's a better way to go. Sonos is you pay for the convenience. I just, this is a complicated one. I wish Scott Wilkinson were here to bail me out. Somebody else is recommending, there are a number of really good speaker systems out there. Not the names you probably see at the Best Buy. Most of those you're going to go, Epiphone is very good. Not Epiphone. I have 2 American-made speaker systems in my house that I like a lot. Lately, ELAC is the one that I've been pretty much recommending. Sonos has got to be on a Wi-Fi network. Sometimes, for instance, my Sonos system is not working right now. I have to go through and disconnect all the speakers and repair them and stuff. That's kind of a pain. You know what? Don't get Sonos. The heck with them. Get yourself, you have more fun. Get a nice stereo system. I think you'll be happier. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I got to separate being mad at them, which I am quite legitimately angry at them, and whether they're good. And honestly, I don't think that Sonos are a good economic decision anymore. Hello, Johnny. Huh?
Hey, Leo, how you doing?
You think they're going to last?
How you doing?
I don't think they're going to last. I'm good. How are you? That's the other problem. What happens when they go out of business? I am well, John. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
We have a lovely family. The Barr family's here from the Bahamas, from Providence.
Nice. Well, hello, Barr family.
Yeah.
I was near them yesterday.
You were in the Bahamas? Where were you?
No, I was near it. So take another guess.
The Bermuda Triangle?
Not that close.
Florida.
You got it.
Yeah. Nice.
I was in I flew out of West Palm Beach last night, flew to Dallas, and then flew here to LA, got in at 8:30, 9:30 maybe.
Your devotion and love for your dad really chokes me up. It is so beautiful, John.
I try. I posted a video on my Facebook page and opened it up to the public of me surprising him this time.
Oh, you could give him a heart attack. Do you think that's a good idea?
No, I'm not going
He's
to
in
give
his
him a heart
90s.
It's not like I jump out and go,
oh, okay. Okay.
My dad can barely see. So
okay.
I go up to him and I pretend I'm someone else. And he's like, what's your name? And I'm like, it's John. He's like, I have a son named John. And he's like, you look like my son. And then we go a little bit.
How long does that go on? How long can you fool him?
It goes on for about 30 seconds, 30, 40 seconds.
That's
he has
so
to get
cute.
really close to see me to know it's me.
That's so sweet. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry.
And but he loves it. Obviously, I mean, I love it too. I try to go see him every month. It's not that listen. I don't. I go down and I load his pills for the month. I do little things like that. Pay his bills and.
You are such a good son. Now does your sister go down too?
Yep. I have my one sister will go down in a couple of weeks. My other sister lives nearby, but she's so busy that it's tough for her to do anything besides her painting.
So you guys share custody.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I do most of the work.
Well, Johnny, you live the farthest away.
That's for sure. But you know what?
You're Johnny Jet.
It's a 5-hour flight. Usually I fly to Miami and then drive up an hour to Delray.
I hope my kids take care of me.
I hope mine does too. And last night I left my dad. He's like, make sure you call me when you land. I go, I'm landing at midnight your time. He's like, I don't care. I'm staying up. So sure enough, I called him and he answered like on the second ring. And he's like, I can finally go to sleep now.
Oh my God.
So he's
I think
he's a very loving guy.
The biggest detriment to our modern civilization is how people have become spread out. And we've lost that the normal, natural tribal way of living is so sad to me.
I understand, but it also does make you appreciate.
Yeah, maybe if you live next to him, your sister lives nearby. You
would fight, or you would, my wife moved from Toronto to here. Right. She did not want to leave her family, but now she speaks to her mom every day for an hour on FaceTime. And then her mom comes out and spends like a month at a time. That would have never happened if she was still living there. She would, see her often, but not, a couple hours at a time.
I think we all need to live in a small village.
Well,
make connections, bonds. Somebody gets in trouble, we're all there to lift them up.
We're very fortunate to live in the age that we live, not only with travel, but with technology. FaceTime, Skype, it's changed everything. I mean,
that's true.
We're so fortunate. I put the phone up with my dad with FaceTime, and he just sits there and watches my kids eat because I feel like I'm there.
Johnny Jet, back from Florida.
Yeah, well, I was supposed to be calling you from Skyping in from Hong Kong.
Oh, I'm not a lot of people going to Hong Kong these days, I would guess.
My flight was canceled, but I canceled before they even canceled my flight. I had a round-the-world trip planned.
I'm seeing some cruise lines now canceling cruises in the future.
Yep, Norwegian just pulled out of Asia for the whole summer.
Yikes! I thought you think this is going to get worse before it gets better? I think Donald Trump said once the heat comes, it'll be okay.
Well, I wouldn't take advice.
I think he said that. I might be wrong, but doesn't summertime? Doesn't the flu slow down?
It doesn't surprise me. But I mean, like Miami Airport, for example, which I was in a couple days ago, is freezing cold. And I was told by one of the people who work there, say they keep it so cold to keep the germs away.
Oh.
But
interesting.
I'm not a doctor. Your Dr. Baum, who's in the chat room, could probably comment on that a lot better than I can. That's for sure. But
it is impacting travel significantly, though.
Well, cruise ships took a huge hit.
Yeah, come on? Who's going to go on a cruise ship now? I mean,
there people will be, but they're going to change things. I think one of the big problems was the buffet. So, and even before the whole coronavirus, whenever I go to a cruise buffet, I would always wash my hands before I touch the utensils, because
ships make you do that.
No, they don't. They have it there. I've seen some ships where they actually have someone stationed in front of it,
and they have like wash basins, and you have to go through the wash basins to get to the.
It doesn't matter. People will still cough on their hand and then touch it. So what I do when I'm on a cruise or at any buffet for that matter, I try to use just one hand where I'm dishing stuff out, and then I'll bring my plate to the table, and then I'll go wash that hand or have hand sanitizer on me, or I'll just eat with my right hand. Like if I'm touching a roll, I won't touch it with my left. And actually, last night I was flying.
Good luck. If somebody sneezes on you, you're dead anyway. So good luck.
That's true. It is true. I mean, you can't. I am a semi-germaphobe, but I am very conscious of that.
You're the worst germaphobe I've ever met.
No way. There's way worse than me.
Okay,
I mean,
I'm sure there are.
On my flight, by the way, to Miami the other day, a lot of people on the plane had masks, which don't really work. And I asked the flight attendant about it. She's like, you know what? Everything I read is the masks do not work unless you're sick. to prevent other people. And there were plenty of people around me that were coughing that did not have masks on, and I felt like just throwing a mask at them.
I think it's hysterical because Virgin just launched its new cruise line. You couldn't pick a worse time.
I'm going to be on it.
Are you? The Scarlet? You're going to go on the Scarlet Lady?
I'm going to the christening.
You are?
Yeah, next month.
Say hi to Richard for me. He's such a nice guy. No, I don't know him.
I did a Travel Channel show.
I know. You were on his island. You were on Necker Island.
He's an amazing guy. I mean, so it is not a great time to launch, but I think I think the deals are going to be great for consumers, by the way.
It's like launching an ocean liner right after the Titanic. It's not, Listen,
if the price is right, people will forget about it.
So you don't think this is going to hurt the cruise? I mean, it's going to hurt the cruise industry. But you don't think it's going to permanently damage the cruise industry?
I don't think so. I think they definitely taking a hit, and it's going to take a while to get everyone back to where they were because they were really doing well.
Should I cancel my cruise in January?
No, don't.
I'm going to Asia. I'm going to Hong Kong, Vietnam, Philippines, and Taiwan, and Singapore in flu season, the height of flu season, January 2021.
Which ship?
It's on a Seabourn. It's the
so from a Seabourn.
Not a Seabourn. I'm sorry. The Silver Spirit. The same one we were on. We liked it so much we even got the same room.
Wow.
Yeah, I carved my name in the closet to see if it'll still be there.
Is there a buffet? I don't think there's probably not even a buffet, but if there is one, I bet you they'll have someone behind the counter now dishing the stuff out so you don't even touch it.
Actually, Silver Sea has always done that. They never let you touch the stuff. So and every time I go, they slap my hand. I go, ah!
Okay, good. So you nothing to worry about. If there's going to be a problem, they will cancel. And
I bet every cruise ship now they don't let the customers touch the food or the.
I'm not so sure about that. Some of these are 5,000 passengers. They have to. I mean, what else are they going to do?
See, I'm not worried about getting sick. I'm worried about getting stuck.
Well,
those poor people on the Princess who were sailing around and around and around.
So another tip about that, by the way, I just sent out a tip in my daily tip newsletter 2 days ago saying, make sure you pack enough medication for a couple weeks extra, just by the slight chance that you will get quarantined, the chances are very slim.
Yeah.
Very, very slim. But it's always a good idea because things do go wrong.
It does seem a bad idea to say, okay, we think there might be somebody with coronavirus on this ship, so we're just going to keep everybody on it till you all get sick.
Yeah, well, it was a terrible idea. And
in fact, many passengers did get it because of that.
They did.
Yeah.
Over 500. But take a picture of your medication as well. So one time my dad, we were on a cruise like 5 years ago. My dad met me in Spain. He forgot his medicine. I said, Dad, are you crazy? How are we going to get all this medicine? And our first port was in France, south of France. And no one spoke English in this small town. But I went into a pharmacy and the woman's like,
show him a picture.
I just showed the pictures of all the stuff.
And she throws the pills at you.
She translated it, and it was actually cheaper.
Of course it's cheaper.
Than it was at home.
Of course it's cheaper.
So I was like, wow. But if I did not,
there are people who actually go to France just to buy their medication. It's cheaper.
Same thing with Canada.
Yeah.
But my point is, take a picture of all the labels, and you can usually get it filled in emergency situations like that.
The thing about a cruise ship is you're all together in a kind of somewhat closed quarters. So if any one of you is sick, the risks of infecting everybody are high. But isn't that the same on an airplane, on a train, in a big city? I mean, close quarters.
Without a doubt. I mean, last night I sat down and took my seat, and the woman sitting next to me, her phone on her text was all in Chinese, all in Mandarin.
That means you're dead.
Boy.
You're dead now. I'm glad you're on Skype. I'm glad you're not sitting here in my studio. I'm going to throw you out.
And she had to take. No, she was going to China.
No,
I
I'm
think.
just kidding.
But the flight attendants don't. They said they're not worried. I mean, I asked the flight attendants. These guys were, front of the line. That's pretty funny. They are like, you know what?
What?
They're not worried. They're like 15, 20 people gotten it so far in the U.S. They're more worried about the flu, and that's why they wash their hands off and keep their fingers.
It killed tens of thousands every year.
14,000 people so far this year.
So, but I don't know the way they're acting about this one. It feels to me like they know something we don't know. Like.
It does feel like that.
Yeah, this one rots your face off or something. Yeah,
2% of the people have died who've gotten it. So it's not like it's high because I think the flu is like 0.04 or something around there. So this is 2%, but it's not like it's 20% or even higher. But anyway, I don't want to scare people. Get out there, see the world. Just
what's the worst that could happen? You could die. Big deal. You could die anyway. You could die at home.
Listen, I mean, when the whole terrorist things happened in France a couple of years,
people stayed home.
Years ago,
yeah,
people, and I almost stayed home. I was going to France for a conference,
come
while I was there, the whole big shooting in LA, outside of LA happened.
Right, you see.
So
you see, I don't know what the moral of that one is.
My point is, live your life, get out, see the world, and take advantage of these discounts because there's going to be some big discounts soon.
Good idea. Is Cathay Pacific going to survive? They're a Hong Kong airline that practically shut down.
Well, they've been getting crushed. They were getting crushed before that because of everything that was going on in Hong Kong with all the protests. But now they're really getting
insult to injury.
They've cut back huge. And actually, my flight was on Cathay the other day, and I got a notice saying that flight was canceled. From Singapore to Bangkok to Hong Kong. And
he's Johnny Jet, man. Follow him on his website. Great website. Free travel newsletters. Also, you can get great prices on the Travel Deals newsletter. That's free too. JohnnyJet.com. He's also on Instagram, Johnny Jet, and Twitter at Johnny Jet. And do you have face masks?
I always carry them in my bag.
I thought you would. And wipes.
But only when I'm sick do I put it on.
I'm going to Purell him. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
I also carry fire masks.
That's like the N95 smoke masks, yeah.
Yeah, I carried. I just remembered. I totally forgot about it. I bought them years ago, and I kept two in my bag for my wife and I. And now we have two kids. I got to get two more, or I'll just give them the masks. But I've always had them in my carry-on. So God forbid, because I was in a hotel fire when I was a kid.
I
was in San Juan, Puerto Rico. The DuPont Plaza burned down. I think it was still the largest fire ever. It killed 119 people. But I was there 6 months before that.
Oh,
and it caught on fire. Oh, I mean, I think there was workers that were setting on a fire. They set it multiple times. And I was on the 19th floor when I was 15 or 16 years old, and we had to evacuate at 2:00 in the morning.
I'm surprised that didn't traumatize you.
I actually just remembered it just now. The first time I thought about it in years. But
never leaving the house again.
You know, you got to live your life, but it does. I don't like to be on high floors now.
All right.
Like because the fire ladders can only go up to 6 or 7 stories. So, you know, a lot of times they want to put you up in high suites or whatever. I'm like, no, you know, I'll take a lower room. I don't want to be on the ground floor.
More room for me. I'm going to the high suite. I don't care. I don't care.
Well, anyway.
Johnny, thank you, sir.
You have a good week.
You too. It's great to talk to you.
I got plenty of material for next week.
I know. We never use your material.
I actually think this was more interesting and helpful for people.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll feel the same way.
We don't have to. Oh, there's people who complain. Don't ignore them. I'm all that matters. And I think it's better, you know, if we've got something to talk about that. Save the app and the website for days that we don't have anything else.
Listen, this is. I think this is much more natural and helpful.
Yeah, we're talking about travel. Yeah. I appreciate that you prep, but honestly,
hey, I'm prepped for next week. Now I'm just going to roll up. I'm going to log on at 12:25.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Johnny.
Take care.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi.
So yeah, say.
That's it? Just hi?
Say something. Say something. Say the smartest thing. Yeah, wear the headphones. Here you go.
So you can hear yourself.
Say hello.
Get right up the mic.
Hello.
Hi. Oh, very nice.
Say something that you would say if you were on Tech TV.
What would Leo say?
What would I say? Would I say, hey?
How are you today?
How are you today?
Hey, how are you today?
Yay! Good job, Anthony.
You guys are sitting. Give him a high five.
Give me 5, dude. Yeah.
Awesome.
Jolly. All right. Have a great time.
Thank
Very
you.
nice to see you.
I'll see if I can try to make that.
If you can, that'd be really fun. Yeah.
Other than that, like I said in the email, I will see if I can probably either come back for Twin.
Always welcome.
Or Tech News.
I'll be here all week.
Yes.
And have a safe trip home, guys. All right. See ya. Nice to see you. Bum, ba-da-da-da-dum. Push all the buttons. You guys are bad. Push the buttons, Anthony. Push the buttons. Higgy. The Higgy. The Quario. Yeah, I remember that now. That's the cardio. That's what it was. The cardio. Cardio-based Wi-Fi smart scale. Yeah. Well, hey. Hey. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about tech. Computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. We've got your smartphones. We've got your smart watches. We've got all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo is my phone number. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can still reach us. You'd have to use Skype out or something like that. And since it's a toll-free number, you just call that and I shall answer. Actually, Kim will answer and then put you on hold for hours. 8888 Ask Leo. In fact, I'm gonna take mercy on some of you hanging on for so long, like Tom and Yorba Linda, and take your call. Hi, Tom. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. I grow saltwater corals.
Oh, how beautiful. How long does it take you to grow one?
Oh my gosh.
Years? Yeah.
You get fragments and then you experiment with them and try and get them to grow. And sometimes you're successful, sometimes you're not. But I have a light that came with the system, and it's an LED light. But you have to download the app into the light with a USB into your laptop. And then into a micro on the light, and then you put the app into the light, and then it simulates a reef from morning till evening or storms.
So you have to. The light has a little bit of memory and a processor. You have to program it,
right?
By connecting it via USB to a computer and push that software into it.
Right. Problem is, it's either Windows or OS, and I am strictly a Chromebook guy.
That's so frustrating.
So I've been looking. It seems that there might be a way to load this stuff with a Chromebook through your Chromebook some way or another if you don't have a Windows machine in your house.
Yeah. So here's the thing. There is, it's almost, I would be willing to bet, a generic interface to that hardware. It's a standardized piece. I can't imagine it's a custom piece of
It's $100 for what they call a ReefLink. You can get that, but it's $100. And I'm
so they have their own ReefLink software that works on Windows and Mac. My point is, you may not have to have their proprietary software to do it. What you're really doing is writing to an EEPROM, which is an erasable, programmable, read-only memory that's on that light bulb, and you're writing a file. Do they provide the files separately?
The file, I imagine, is in the app.
See, that would be a problem. If they gave you, and I would figure this out, a .bin file or some kind of file that then the app opens. I bet you this is how they do it, that the app opens and then blasts into the light bulb. That's the good news, because it would be a standardized way of doing this. And the reason I say that's a good news is because there are Linux programs that you can do this with. And if you can do it in Linux, then you can do it on your Chromebook, because the Chromebook will support Linux command line utilities.
Oh, okay. I did a little bit of research, and I did see some Linux references. I also saw some other stuff, and I can't remember right now, but I looked at 3 or 4 different sites that said you can do this. But Linux was one of them, but there was a couple of other ones that they suggested that you could maybe load into the tablet and then go from there.
Yeah, so this is what your job is at this point, is to figure out...
72, so don't give me too much.
No, this is going to be fun. You're going to like this. If you can grow a reef coral, if you can spend 5 years watching that thing grow microns a day, you can do this. I have a feeling. So what you have to do is do a little research to figure out what chip is in that thing. because honestly, almost always you can write to these things. It seems very unlikely that this company, this is such a specialized thing, that this company has created their own chips and their own software. Much more likely, it's a standard chip, and it's standard software, which they've rebranded, so it says ReefLink.
Okay.
But now, I have done this many times. Unfortunately, my memory is bad, so I don't remember the name of the software on Linux and so forth. But basically, if you do some research, there'll be a command line utility that will take the file. What you've got to do is figure out, where is ReefLink getting that data? It's not going to be embedded in the app, because that would be too hard for them to change. You'd have to update the app if they wanted to update the light. So they're going to provide off their website a download, a small .bin file, or might have some other extension, that you then load into that ReefLink software and blast onto the light. That's what you need. You need that little file, because what that really is an image of the firmware that needs to go into the light. And if you can get that, then you can get open source programs that will blast it into the light using Linux. That's the first step. The second step is now you have to put Linux in your Chromebook. That's going to require some more research, but Google has started supporting that. It's not a complicated thing to do. It's just a lot of steps. You'll download a version of Linux, and then you'll have a command line. Have you ever used the DOS prompt?
I haven't, but I think my wife did years ago.
So it's going to be like that. It's not going to say C:, but it will say, it'll have a % or something like that, and it'll have a blinking little cursor, and you'll be typing in the commands. The first command will be load the program, and then there'll be a space, and then it'll say, and write to this port, because you're going to be connected to the USB port, so you have to know what hard. It's complicated, but it's doable. What you're hoping is that somebody else with a ReefLink has done it and paved the way and has written out a step-by-step. Honestly, conceptually, that's what you're doing. Say again?
I wonder if it'd be easier just to spend $100.
And get a Windows machine?
Maybe I'll just do that.
If you could find somebody with a Windows laptop you can borrow, it's obviously the easiest way to do it, yeah.
I can then go through that laptop, and then can I...
that's it. Then it's done.
Through my phone or my iPad?
Well, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't buy one just for this. Well, how much have you invested in growing coral reefs? I bet quite a bit, actually, come to think of it. You have to have a big seawater tank, right?
Right.
Do you have fish in it, too?
Some fish, but they have to be coral friendly.
Yeah, of course.
They don't eat your $400 piece of coral that's a quarter of an inch long.
Oh, this is fascinating. I didn't know people did this.
It's amazing.
I bet it's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember, going to see the Great Barrier Reef and other famous corals, and of course, as soon as you get deep enough, there's no color. So,
right.
But yours, I bet you can see the color, and I bet it's beautiful.
Well, yeah, you can simulate, like I say, from sunrise to sunset.
Oh,
and,
gorgeous.
Afternoon. And you should go into one of these saltwater shops and just look.
I will.
Amazing, just to look.
Yeah. I mean, this is a great hobby. It depends on how geeky you want to get with it. I would be shocked if they're doing anything proprietary. Everything they're doing is probably very standard. You got to find some geek who's done it all and writes it all down, or it might be easier to find a buddy with a Windows laptop. Just bring the light over and say, I just want to run this program and program the light. You don't have to do it again, right? Once you do it, it's done.
Right.
Yeah.
But if I do that, then can I use it remotely from my phone and from my tablet if I get somebody who has it in their laptop?
Well, you can. So you're saying you need to periodically, is that how you change it from sunrise to sunset?
With your phone or your tablet.
I see. Once you put the firmware onto the light, then the light is on your Wi-Fi network.
Right.
Yeah, you could use your phone. You could use anything at that point if they've got the software to do it. So check and see. ReefLight will have, they'll have an iOS or Android app. I'm sure they'll have both.
Right.
And that will let you. That's just so think of it like it's kind of what you've got is kind of like those Hue light bulbs from Signify, where the light bulb, you screw it in, you turn it on, and then you have to set it up with a base station to join the Wi-Fi, and then you can use your phone to turn it up and down and off.
Right. That's what they're doing to me, except I don't have Windows or OS.
Right.
Okay.
Well, good for you. You don't. Honestly, this is one of those few cases where you need it. And just borrow it or go to the library. There's got to be somebody to let you use their Windows machine. Because you only use it once. And after that, yes, everything else can be done.
Okay, and then I can load it from that laptop and do what they say on the instructions as far as doing the wired.
Yep.
Okay.
And somebody's telling me, have you ever heard of Reddit? Do you ever go to Reddit?
I have. In fact, I looked at Reddit.
Yeah, because Reddit... And there apparently is a Reef Tank subreddit.
Okay.
If you go there and ask the question, you're going to get somebody very knowledgeable say, yeah, well, what you do is this, this, and this.
Oh, okay, good. Okay.
Yeah. It's Reef Tank, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it's Reddit, reddit.com/r/Reef Tank.
Okay, yeah, I did. When I was researching a little bit, I saw the Reddit in there, and I did see something.
Yeah, just make a Reddit account. They're free. Say, hey, I'm a Reddit noob. How are you? I have a reef tank. You ought to see my corals. What you're going to do is you're going to make friends who are doing the same thing as you are. They're going to be thrilled. And you're going to say, I don't have Windows. How can I program this thing? And they'll tell you.
Yeah, in this particular hobby, there's a lot of people that are trading corals and selling, it's that kind of a deal. So, yeah.
I just went to Reddit/r/Reef Tank. You're going to flip your lid.
Really?
This is where people get together with oddball hobbies like yours.
Right.
It's not that oddball. It's a great hobby. I think it sounds like fun. Hey, nice to talk to you.
All right.
I appreciate it, Tom. Yeah. I'm telling you everything you'd ever want. I guarantee you, because it's all Reef Tank users. There'll be somebody there who says, oh, yeah, I did that. Here's what you do. We'll put the link in the show notes. This is why I love Reddit. Reddit is full of the most obsessive... I mean, it's great. If there's something you're into, guarantee you there's a subreddit all about it. Nice. Good, Uncle Vic. Thank you. That's good to know. Lady Laura. You're doing it again to me. I tell you, getting my feet moving and my rest of my body doesn't know where they're going. Line 3 is Edward, Detroit, Michigan. Hello, Edward.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Welcome. Thanks for waiting. I'm sorry I kept you on hold so long.
That's okay.
What can I do for you?
I go back a little while. I've been thinking, you had somebody talking about receivers and speakers earlier.
Yeah.
I wonder what has happened to such companies like Macintosh receivers.
Yeah, remember those? Oh, they were the best.
Yeah. I couldn't afford them, but I was able to buy Marantz.
Yep. So Marantz is now part of D&M Holdings, which is Denon and Marantz. This is one thing that's happened is that the industries have collapsed, as is true in so many industries, and now they've aggregated into one or two big companies. Macintosh is still out there on their own, oddly enough. And the funny thing is they're still making tube amps, and they're still too expensive to buy. Although, aren't they gorgeous? Oh, you just look at those tubes. In fact, a lot of the Macintosh amps, they leave the tubes out. They don't put them away. So you can just stare at them glowing in the corner. I have a friend. Now, this might be a golden age for people who, like you and me, who care about high-quality audio, because the kids, they're listening on those little white iPod headphones. They don't know good music, to compressed music. Right. They don't know. They don't care. So those of us who still do often can get good deals on used gear. You got to be careful with used speakers because, the paper dries out. They can be blown. But I have a good friend who collects this stuff. He's got his dad's old Klipschorns. They're 6 feet tall. They're huge.
Oh, wow.
And he has them hooked up to, I think it's a Macintosh 901. He's got it hooked up to a tube amp. And the sound is, of course, he's got to use a turntable, right? And the sound is spectacular.
Yeah. And speakers, back in the day, I bought the acoustic research.
The ARs were very good. Do you have the towers?
I had,
they had bookshelves and they had towers.
3 feet off the.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the towers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean like, the towering Inferno tower. Just, it's a couple feet tall. Yeah, I have to say, I feel bad because I think there's a whole generation that's grown up that doesn't know how great music can sound. And it's almost a lost art now, the sound of high-quality audio. Fortunately, I think some kids are becoming aware of it, and I kind of do my best to kind of proselytize to say, hey, it doesn't have to be on an iPhone with little white things hanging out of your ears. It can be really good. Even good headphones, are out there. And I think we are in a good time for this gear. It's just that it's gone back. It's funny. It went full circle. In the 50s, it was all hobbyist stuff, right? And all the hobbyists would do, they'd listen to the Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture because it had bells and cannons, and that was a really good way. It wasn't about the music. It was about the bells and the cannons and if you got any distortion. Then the 60s came along, Rolling Stone came along, rock and roll came along. Suddenly it was about the music, and nobody cared anymore. Now it's kind of coming back, the equipment. I think people are getting more serious about it. There's a lot of audiophile gear out there. Even audiophile music players. Neil Young, the rock and roll star, is pushing very hard for people to listen to high-resolution music that is the same as it was in the recording studio. Of course, we don't have analog recording very much anymore, but high-quality digital, I think, could be just as good. So we're in a good time. I think it's coming back, and I have hope for kids. I just wish music. Now we're going to sound like old farts. I wish music were better these days, don't you? Pop music, I just can't get into it anymore. It all sounds the same.
I can't get into it either.
Yeah.
But what I like, I'm using a Bose wave radio.
That's not a bad wave radio. Yeah.
I love the sound. I got a small place, so
that's
I don't
enough.
need,
Yep, I got one for my mom because it fills the kitchen. Yep.
It does.
Paul Harvey used to advertise those, the late, great Paul Harvey. The Bose acoustic bass speakers. Hey, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Us old-timers, we got to reminisce once in a while. Sit around the Cracker Barrel. Talk about, you kids, you don't understand great music. In my day, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Props to Lady Laura. She's spinning the disc today, our musical director. Good job, Lady Laura. See, she's a young person who still has the good ears. She knows the good stuff. Dan in Rohnert Park, California, just up the road a piece. Hi, Dan. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Leo, great to hear you. To talk to you, you are a consummate professional.
Thank you, sir.
And an invaluable resource for people like me.
Come down and visit us. You're just a few miles away. Come on and say hi.
I know. I was talking to your call screener, and I did mention that, and she invited us.
You're always welcome.
Yeah, very likely.
Yep.
Thanks, sir. Hey, we were among the millions who were forsaken by Microsoft. I have 4 computers. I got my wife a Windows 10 thing.
Oh, you had Windows 7 on all those computers?
And I have 7 on the rest of them, and it's a great operating system. And my question basically is I see, like, on TV advertised PC-Matic software like that.
Yeah, they say, we're going to work on Windows 7 forever. Don't worry about Windows 7. First of all, don't. Okay, just don't.
Okay.
You need to go to Windows 10. I know you love Windows 7, but no software, nothing you could download from a TV ad or otherwise is going to replace the security that Microsoft's taking away. Microsoft, as you probably know, because you've got a Windows 10 machine, you had Windows 7 for years, monthly updates, puts patches out, and most importantly, and the ones that really are critical, security fixes that keep you safe. If you don't do those, and there is a security flaw, you can get a drive-by attack. You can just visit a website, and that website can hack your machine without you doing anything. Now, normally, the way, a hacker to get on your system has to get you to run a program, right? Get around your security, get around everything, and get you to run a program. They do that by tricking you. And by the way, PCmatic, no other security software will stop you from doing something, right? Otherwise, no one would buy it. And so if you say, well, yeah, I want to install this Flash player software they say I need, it's just going to say, okay, go ahead, you dope.
Yeah, of course. I wouldn't do anything like that. And,
no. So you're smart, so that's another reason why you don't need this stuff. But you do need to go to Windows 10, I'm sorry to say.
But I'm not that smart.
Well, maybe this will help. The good news is Microsoft is not charging you for the upgrade. They're not announcing it. They're not telling anybody. But if you go and download a copy of the Windows 10 installer, get it from Microsoft. Don't get it from anyone else. But Windows, go look for the Windows Media Installer on Microsoft.com. Okay.
Okay.
And it'll say, "What's your serial number?" You say, "Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that, man." And download it and install it. Microsoft is so concerned about people still running Windows 7 that they apparently are not. If you have an authenticated Windows 7 machine, you do. It's been running for a while. You install Windows 10 on top of it. Windows 10 will activate. You have a legal, legit copy of Windows 10. You're good.
I had no idea. I heard you mention that before, but you sounded doubtful whether or not.
Well, I don't want to say it out loud because I don't want Microsoft to go, "Oh, who left that on?"
Okay.
But it's now
we just bought her a new machine.
Well, no, it's good because you're getting other benefits from a new machine, right? Now, once you install Windows 10 on a machine, I would then go back, blast that, get the data off, but blast that old machine, get rid of everything, and start with a nice clean install of Windows 10. Once it's been authenticated, once it says this is an authorized version of Windows 10, you can blast it off and put it back on again, and then you have a clean install at 10. And I bet you, as your wife uses 10, she's not saying, "Oh, I want to go back to 7." It's not. It's very no. It's very similar. It's very
so
similar.
I can actually wipe the drive and use after I download it.
After it's authenticated.
Again. So
install on top first time. Well, I know that's why I was reluctant to say it. The first time you install it on top of your activated Windows 7.
Okay. Got that.
And then go into About This System and look and make sure it says, authorized, it's activated for Windows 10. Once it is, Microsoft, it's called an entitlement. Microsoft keeps track of, this machine is entitled to use Windows 10. Then you can erase the hard drive and start over, which is a good idea.
We've been loyal Microsoft users for 20-something years now. And all of a sudden, it's like, you got to spend all this money.
I got to point out, it's not all of a sudden. This is 10 years old. This operating system, and eventually all operating systems come to an end. You can't. So, and they've been warning us for years. They've been saying it's going to be over soon.
Exactly.
So I can't really blame them. I think it's great that they left this loophole. They are not announcing it. They're not telling anybody. But everybody I know, all the Windows experts I know, keep trying it. Our chat room, people I tell keep trying it. They go, yeah, it's still working. It's still working. It's still working.
So the first thing is to go to Microsoft.
It's called the Media Creation Tool.
Media Creation Tool.
Because what it's going to do is going to make a USB key with a Windows 10 installer. But again, you got to get it from Microsoft. Don't, because if you're ever a bad guy, I would definitely put a media creation tool on my bad guy website. It'll say, you'll go to Microsoft.com, it'll say, download Windows 10 disk image. And then and if it asks you for a password or whatever, not a password, but a serial number, it will. You can just say, no, I don't have one yet. Because they don't mind if people download it and try it. And apparently, they don't really even mind if people install it and it activates because they're so anxious to get everybody off Windows 7.
Now, I'm pretty sure the computer in question came with Windows 7 on it. Would I be able to find the serial number?
You don't need it. You don't need it.
Don't need it.
Don't need it.
Excellent.
Yep.
Wow.
That's why you leave Windows 7 on there, because the Windows 10 installer will say, yeah, you got Windows 7. It's activated. Okay, fine. It doesn't need it.
Okay.
I'm just saying, whenever it asks you for serial number, you can ignore that. But the key is to install on top of Windows 7.
On top, right.
Yep. At that point, if you want to do a clean install once it's activated. Yeah. And the other thing is, some older computers maybe don't boot from USB, so you want this. you're going to make a little USB. You need I think it's 8 or 16 gig USB key. You probably have a dozen of them. They come in the Captain Crunch
Sure, I've got
boxes.
32.
Yeah, 32 is perfect. Put it on there.
The other question is, the existing system is probably about, I think, 5 years old at the most. It's got 8 gigs of RAM. And it's
perfect.
Got, I
You're
think,
set.
Terabyte. Oh, excellent.
Yeah, that's a great
You're
system.
a god, Leo.
That will run faster with Windows 10, I predict, than it did with the old Windows 7.
Oh, fantastic. Oh,
Yay. Wow. Saved by the Windows 7. Thank you, Microsoft. Gosh, I hope they don't change this policy. It's my guess that they're more anxious to get people to the latest operating system. The last thing, and they've had, by the way, since they stopped updating Windows 7, which was January 14th, they've already had 2 bad flaws. There was one where if you stretched the wallpaper, it went black. They fixed that. They said, all right, we'll fix it. And then they found another flaw that if you're using Adobe's Creative Suite, there's some sort of mismatch with the Windows 7 after an update to Windows Creative Suite, and you can't shut down. It says you don't have permission to shut down. What? Somebody will fix that. Probably Adobe, but if not, Microsoft will have to. Even though they said, no, we're not. No! Stop asking us. We're not going to fix it anymore. You stop it. I think they've finally decided, we just want everybody to be on a secure, safe Windows 10. That's more important to us than the actual revenue loss, because it's like $139 to get or $130 to get a new Windows 10. I don't think you need to. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. The Gizwiz coming up. He's the Gizwiz. He's the Gizwiz. He's the magical Gizwiz. Hello, Dickie DeBartolo.
Hey, Leo, how are you?
I'm really good.
Wow, what happened?
I did a thing with the fam that was really good, and I'm just feeling good.
Oh, okay. I'm glad to hear it.
Yes. We did a little family retreat.
Oh.
Yeah, it was really good.
I thought retreats is where you went and in a cave and didn't talk to anybody for a month.
That's one kind, yes. I wouldn't mind that one.
You wouldn't mind that?
I wouldn't mind that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. It was really, it was nice. You know Abby, our dear, dear daughter. And have you met Henry?
Sure.
Have you met Henry?
Oh, yeah, Henry almost terrified me. We were all going to dinner when I was at the cottage, and Henry came down the block at 500 miles an hour on a skateboard.
Yeah, he's still a little that way. He's 25 now, but he's still a little bit that way.
And stopped about an inch from my mustache.
Yeah.
I said, hey, Dick, it's Henry.
Hi. Hey, how you doing, Dickie? Yeah, my kids love you. They think you're great. Abby especially. She's like a fan.
Well, that's great. Well, she came up to Mad, and we go back.
We go back. That was a wonderful experience for her, and for me too. It was really great. Glad we did it before Mad went away.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy cow. That's the saddest thing ever. And I gave both kids got Mad magazine compilations for Christmases and stuff.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. And of course, they got autographed copies of Mad Magazine pretty regularly from Mr. Dickie DeBartolo.
Absolutely.
It's really nice
I'm still a subscriber.
Are you?
I'm
do
always
they make you
terrified
subscribe?
They don't make me subscribe, but I always think, two things. One is if they send you copies in advance, they forbid you to talk about anything in it. So by having a subscription, I know when it's been released.
Oh, that's smart.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good
also,
idea.
In case they forget to send me copies,
right?
I have a copy.
Oh, that's very smart.
Yeah.
Well, it's really the highlight of my career to have been featured in Mad Magazine. I mean, I have a picture of me.
Yeah, and we did the takeoff on, what is that TV show on ABC?
Deal or No Deal, or what was it?
The people
it was
with the
Shark Tank. Shark
Tank, yeah.
That was cool.
Snark Tank, we called it.
Snark Tank. Very cool. Got got a new book, 12 Seconds of Silence.
You call that a retreat?
It's called Leo's Retreat. This is it looks pretty good. It's the history of how American scientists working in a secretive organization known as Section T during World War II created one of the world's first smart weapons, the proximity fuse, which allowed an artillery shell to know when to explode to bring down an aircraft.
Really?
Yeah, saving countless lives because they were able to shoot down the V1 and V2s.
Oh, okay.
Pretty cool.
Oh, and it's got pictures, too.
It's got pictures. There it is. Here's a smart fuses.
Oh, yeah,
howitzer
yeah.
shells. Yeah. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Doodle bugs. It looks pretty cool. I want to smoke a pipe like that. It looks like fun. I don't know what he's...
you would look good with a pipe.
I'd look like that guy.
Yeah, like that guy.
It's a Disney Wonderland. Leo Laporte, the tech guy with Dick DeBartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer, and our gizmo wizard. We call him the Gizwiz for short. Hi, Dickie D.
How are you, pal?
Very well. Very well. How are you?
Good. I'm also fine.
Has spring come to Disneyland?
It was here yesterday. It's gone today.
Okay. All our trees are so confused. I'm looking at cherry blossoms right now. They're all so confused.
The forsythia came out Wednesday because it was 50. Yesterday it was 28.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's going to be 50 again. So
it's got to be tough to be a tree these days.
Oh my goodness, they're in, they're out. I walked by, they were going.
I'm exhausted.
They're exhausted. I'm exhausted. I don't know what to do.
Dick joins us each week with a gizmo or a gadget from his vast collection. What do you got today?
Yeah, a fan told me about this. Now you know about the Rose Bowl and the Hollywood Bowl, but do you know about the
cereal bowl?
Yeah, well, this is close.
Yes.
This is the gyro bowl.
The gyro bowl.
Right, which is a cereal bowl for young kids.
Oh, look at it. Oh, it's so cute. They can't spill it.
They can't. Well, yes and no. Okay. So I made a video of it. And for the first minute, I am going, this is the most amazing thing for kids that I have ever seen. And then a little flake of cereal fell out and jammed in the mechanism.
Oh, it jammed it.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
You see, it's a very thin wall between the bowls. And if something falls out in between those, then
you've discovered a fatal flaw.
A fatal flaw.
In the gyro bowl. So the idea is there's handles and the kid can hold this bowl and can... But, you know, I mean, it's kind of silly because the kids can still, throw it. It's not like...
Oh, yeah, but you know what? I'm also thinking...
Oh, look, you can even turn it upside down.
Yeah, you can do anything with it, okay? And, I measured out with a measuring cup. It's not a lot of capacity. It can hold 3/4 of a cup of something.
So it's for little kids. But I mean,
for little kids.
I'm not going to toss my cereal around.
No. And also, it's very funny because in the directions it says, your bowl may fall apart.
Oh, no.
But it snaps back together in 10 seconds.
Oh.
Well, it snaps back together in 45 seconds, but it's not destroyed. It's $8 on Amazon. I found it on, the website Wish?
Yeah, I like Wish. Wish has fun stuff.
Yes.
Well, you spilled it, Dick. You spilled it.
Yeah, I know, because something caught in between.
It broke the gyro action.
Gyro action. Now with gyro action. What an interesting idea. Yeah, I could see. Yeah, so once something falls out.
This is good. You're like the Richard Feynman of the gyro bowl. You immediately figured out
yes,
what went wrong. It was an O-ring problem, and now it's all better. Yeah.
It's not nuclear science, but It's better than.
Wow. You jumped, but no, I'm impressed. I'm watching the video. You jumped right to the cause. You did not pause. You said, "Oh, I know what went wrong."
Yeah, exactly.
How much is the gyro bowl?
Let's see. On Amazon, it's $8.
Oh.
On Wish, it's $1, but there's like $4 or $5 shipping.
Oh, of course. That's how they do
and,
it.
And of course, it takes like 2 months to get there. But you can shop around. It's available in colors, and I think it's fun for kids. And maybe an older person who has trouble holding on to something, this might actually work for that too, because it has big, easy to grasp handles. And there's actually a snap-on lid that will hold everything in until you're ready to start using
breakfast
gyro
fun again. Oh, wait a minute. Is that the UPS guy? Do you have to go get that?
Yes, it is. And I said, Dennis, come down, sit next to me, because I know the minute Leo phones in.
We used to have a jingle that we would play. Here's where we wait for Dick. Here's where we wait for Dick to get back. Because the show would pause. Well, because you didn't have Dennis, I guess, to answer it. Now you've learned, and you have somebody there to answer the door.
But Murphy's Law really works. I mean, sometimes if I need a package and I have to go out, I turn on the shower, fully dressed, not to get in it.
Yeah, but they somehow know. Oh,
he's
in
the shower.
Quick, go deliver the package. Wow. The gyro bowl. Now, where would you find out more about this? Well, I'll tell you where, on Dick's website, gizwiz.biz. gizwiz.biz. That's the GizWiz website. While you're there, there's other good stuff, including a fabulous game they call What the Heck Is It? You have to identify a close-up picture of a gizmo or gadget. You have till the end of the month, so you only have 7 more days. One more week. It's
actually
leap
next
year,
Saturday.
Right? Yeah, leap year. Next Saturday show wouldn't exist if it weren't. I don't know how you make this up, but you figured this out. But anyway.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that, it would have went from Friday to Sunday. So it's lucky that we had a day, so we have another Saturday.
You're like the nuclear physicist of Gizmo Wizards. You understand this stuff. Not only did you solve the gyro bowl crisis, but you've explained to me how time works.
Yeah, exactly.
GizWiz.biz. Play the What the Heck Is It contest. A chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. He's got a great podcast, too. You got to watch GizWiz.tv every week. If you like this stupid thing, if you like the gyro cereal bowl, you ain't seen
5 times
nothing.
as much stupid stuff.
There is
weekly.
even better stupid stuff at GizWiz.tv all the time. Amazing stuff. All right, Dick. Thank you so much.
Okay, buddy. I'll talk to you next week.
Talk to you. I'll be here. Steve in Carson, California. Our last call of the day. Hi, Steve.
How you doing there, Leo?
I am great. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing good. I could talk to you for an hour.
Well, I got 2 minutes. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll take the important one first.
Okay.
I'm having a problem. I installed a internet at my office.
Yep.
But I have another building right next door.
How far away is the other building?
It's probably around 100 feet.
Oh, see, that's right on the edge. Wi-Fi technically goes 150 feet, but in my experience, of course, as farther you go, the slower it is. And to do that, you'd have to put the Wi-Fi router in the window, right?
Okay.
Is there any way you can run a wire?
Well, you know what? They installed it in one of the offices, and
yeah. See, you got to get it if you can. You got to get it so that you can see the other building from the Wi-Fi access point.
Okay.
What you probably need
those mesh routers and
mesh might help. An extender would help. Mesh would help. But the key is going to be line of sight between the access point, and if you're doing mesh, it could be any one of the access points. It has to be in a window, and then the other one in the other window, so they can see each other. That will allow you to do it, but you're right at the edge of the maximum distance. My suggestion is do a little research. Radiolab has a great website with lots of information on Wi-Fi, and most importantly, on Wi-Fi extensions. that'll let you get a longer distance. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let me give you the URL here. We just ran out of time. Is it Radiolab? No, it's not Radiolab. Darn it. I hate it when I'm running out of time and I can't remember. Is it oh my gosh, what's it? What is the name of the? It's Radio something. Let me just Google this here. Radiolab, Radio. Yeah, Radiolabs. I was wrong. I mean, I was right, but it's plural. Radiolabs.com. Okay? They have high-power Wi-Fi antennas that will shoot from, thousands of feet. They're designed to solve this weird problem you have, which is 2 buildings that aren't connected by wire.
Okay, other than that, I have to get the other one, put Wi-Fi over there, too. I mean,
yeah, but you don't want to do that. I think you can share Wi-Fi. Read up on it, though. The nice thing about Radiolabs, they have a whole knowledge section that will explain what the issue is and how you solve it.
Okay.
It's a really good place, at Radiolabs.com. They have long-distance antennas. What you might end up doing is putting on the top. Do you have the whole building?
Almost.
If you can put it outside or on the top of the building, and then another one on the other building, that'd be the best. You can point them at each other. But they have antennas and receivers just for doing this.
Okay.
And they have mesh Wi-Fi that is specifically designed for this problem. The mesh that we talk about, like Eero, is for one house inside. But you need to go outside, and that's why Radiolabs has a lot of great stuff.
Okay.
Just for this.
On top of the building makes sense.
Yeah. You put an antenna, and you'll get a special Wi-Fi antenna up there and one on the other side, and you'll have a wire coming down through the ceiling, and then both are connected, and then you only have to have access in one building, and you can share it to the other one.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks for calling. Take care, Steve. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.